Deep cuts are coming for the Eugene 4J school district as the interim superintendent says the district needs to trim nearly $25 million in spending. One thing not expected to be on the chopping block is district staffing, at least for now. KVAL's Gold Meadows explains.
The Eugene 4J school district says it needs to dip into its reserve funds to the tune of $31 million as the district braces for about $25 million in budget cuts, according to Superintendent Colt Gill. Gill pointed to declining enrollment as the main culprit in the funding shortfall.
Here in Eugene, our birth rates have been lower for a few years. Our incoming kindergarten classes have been smaller year after year, and our larger classes have been graduating out. So we're becoming a slightly smaller school district.
Besides lower birth rates, Gill claims housing costs are making it difficult to move into Eugene. And when the district loses enrollment, they lose both state and federal funding since that money is allotted based on the number of students in the district. Even as enrollment continues to fall, the district says it does not plan to lay off any employees, instead cutting costs by not filling vacant positions and relying on retirements and resignations. The goal, in Gill's words, is to limit impacts on students through their budget values framework, which focuses on increasing equitable outcomes, student and staff safety, and engaging the community.
When we're making reductions, we will reduce things that are as far away from those three goals as possible. So less impact on students, less impact on the classroom. And when we're adding funds into our system, we focus on these three goals again and adding to things that directly impact students. So if we go forward with these reductions, and it's somewhere between $15 and $25 million, the focus will be first on things that are not related to staffing.
More than half of the reductions for the county's third largest employer will come from non-staff expenses, including eliminating contracted services and reserve funds for maintaining buildings, according to the district. It will also cut supplies, materials, and operational costs. If the need arises to look at staffing, they'd start by cutting positions that are further from the classroom, Gill said. The district's annual general fund budget is $300 million, which is comprised of local revenue and state funds. 10% of that general fund is to be funded over the next 5 years through 2024's successful school levy. Meanwhile, as another source of funding has run its course, the services it brought to the district are in high demand, Gill said. Temporary COVID relief funds that stopped in September were used to beef up staffing for mental health and academic supports for students. But those positions aren't temporary, adding to budget needs. You said that you hired staff with COVID funding for temporary funding. Why weren't those staff positions, when hired, why weren't they on a temporary basis if the funding was temporary?
The need for students has outlasted the funding, is what I would share there. So our students still need mental health supports, our students still need additional academic supports. We're still catching up from the impact of the pandemic.
The district's funding is tracked by a budget director, a finance director, and its business manager. In Eugene, I'm Gold Meadows.
Now, cuts will be presented during an informational meeting with the Budget Committee that's happening March 1st. That committee and the school board will make the final call on how much is cut. Now, the public can comment on the budget process during Budget Committee meetings and school board meetings. And as 4J's staffing climbs, enrollment rates are falling. The district projects student numbers to drop through 2029. Take a look at this graphic that the district released last week, showing an enrollment of over 16,000 students in 2020. By 2025, that number dropped by more than 1,000 students, and the chart projects more than 600 fewer students by 2029. Now, the reason mentioned in Gold's story, according to the district, is lower birth rates. While the population is growing in Eugene, that isn't the case among the city's children. That's according to census data. Numbers show just over a 7% drop, more than 2,000 children 19 and younger between 2019 and 2023. Now, this comes after the Eugene 4J School District did join a lawsuit against the Department of Education over diversity, equity, and inclusion mandates.
DOE issued its Dear Colleague letter February 14th, ordering all schools receiving federal funding to end all DEI efforts. 4J was the first public school in the country to join a lawsuit aiming to pause the mandate and get some direction from the courts. The decision comes with the risk of losing $20 million in annual federal funding that the district does receive.